Page 34, theme from Symphony No. 40, first movement by Mozart. It's another very famous melody. You find all kinds of recordings of this symphony on wherever, so you can get an idea what it sounds like. It's a lot of fun to play. I'll make a few suggestions here though. This is in cut time. It says molto allegro. Molto means a lot. Allegro means fast. It simply means very fast. And it is. It is a fast piece. We're not going to go fast. We're going to go slow. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to turn it into 4/4 time temporarily. And we'll see about putting it back into cut time later. So when the right hand comes in, it's 4 and. Now, you say this is in C major. Actually, it's in A minor, this arrangement. No sharps or flats, but it's in a minor key. And they've got 3/2/2. I disagree. It's much easier if you'll use 3 different fingers here. So 3/2/1. Get in the habit of doing that, you'll be so much further off. You have to do it anyway at the end of the line, the last 2 eighth notes. And the next line, it's a 1 there. I'm just suggesting you do it on the others, just same fingering. Like so. It's much easier to do than to use the same finger. That promotes tenseness and tightness, and so relax. It's 3/2/1, 3/2/1, 3/2/1. And then going on, I'd sped that up. That'll give you an idea of how fast it might go, but it's real slow. And then going on, watch your fingering, it's okay. Now going on again, 3/2/1 here. Third line, 3/2/1. And I'm going to use that 3/2/1 fingering everywhere it is. Watch the dynamic or the accidentals. Last line on page 34, lift up and move up. You have an accent on that B. And I recommend on the second measure, the last note, use 4th finger on the B, and then a 3/1 for the next one. Again, same fingering. 4 and top of page 35. Second measure is a 3/5. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. Like so. I think that's an easier fingering than what they're suggesting. So you try their fingering, pencil in what I'm suggesting, decide which fingering you like, and stick with it. Going on, second line. Now the left hand's going to help with the melody some. And then second measure, it's an accent on the half note. Third line. And then you back to your main melody again, 3/2/1. And that takes you down through the page. On page 36, at the beginning, you're still on your 3/2/1 stuff. You're going to play that F with the thumb. Second measure, that's a D up there, way up there. At rest. And again, 3/2/1 in the second line. Last measure is a 1/5, because you ended up with, if you do 3/2/1, you end up with a thumb. And then here, 3/2/1 again, 3/2/1 again. Now, third line down, last measure. You have a thumb on the half note, and then it's 3/1, and you got to cross over for the last line there, third finger, and it's a quick one. You don't have to do that. We can do it this way. This is the third line down, third measure. You're playing your 3/2/1 pattern. The last measure, if I put 4th finger on the F instead of 3, I can reach down with 3rd finger on the D and 2nd on the C. I don't have to cross over the thumb. And then at the last line, second measure, third finger. I don't need thumb on that. You can use thumb if you want to. Maybe it's easier because your hand's in this position. I'll leave that up to you. And then the last two measures, it's a 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 5. See, it's all one position. I get both of those chords in one position. So it's 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, and then thumb or second finger, it's up to you, for the last note. Now the left hand, most of it is just accompanying. You got to keep it soft. So it's just helping out. And then second line, you got some broken chords. Those notes, watch those notes. In the second measure, it's an A and then a C and an E. It's just an A minor chord. You're in the key of A minor, it's a 1 chord. And the last measure, it's a 4 chord. And then the next line, again, same chord. And then a 5/7 chord. So if you know the primary chords, this ain't bad. That's still a 5/7 chord in the last measure. There's 4 notes in the 5/7 chord. It's just, in the second measure, we're not using the B. In the last measure, we're not using the G sharp. Same chord. Last line, second measure, that is a G sharp, D, F. Isn't that fun? You get it again at the top of page 35. Then the last measure of the first line, you have treble clef. You're coming up here. That's melody. Bring it out. Got a crescendo. And then you drop down, because then the right hand has melody in the second line for 2 beats, and then the left hand gets it again. That's melody. Bring that out, and then the right hand gets it, so come down a little bit. The pedal will help us out here. So I would prefer to play in the third line down, second measure, that chord. I would prefer to use a 5/4/2, and then a 1. Technically speaking, I mean, if we're going to use a chord like a triad, we would do a 5/3/1, like in the first measure. But I need to prepare for the thumb coming up here. So I simply change it, because this full chord, if I take all 4 of those notes together, that's the fingering for it. So I'm just changing to cover this chord in the second measure. It's here. So it's the first measure, here, and then here. And that's about it. I don't see anything tricky, except maybe at the bottom of page 36, the last couple measures, you have A's here, staccato, and the last A has an 8 VA under it, so you're going to come down here. Dynamic wise, well, the dynamics are to the melody, so we're starting out soft. Now when the right hand comes in, that left hand needs to get softer. And remember the staccatos in the left hand, just a nice wrist staccato there. You get down to the bottom, now we're medium loud. This part's medium loud. Then come down, and this is like an echo of that, so you're kind of medium soft here, or soft, whichever. And then you get to the end of the first line there on page 35, you have that crescendo. That's the melody. Well, let's look at these 2 measures. It's the last measure of the first line and the first measure of the second line. Watch this. The melody. That's what we want. And so you're going to come up and then you add the other notes, hopefully without getting in the way of that. It's a bit tricky for the left hand. The last measure going into the first measure again of the first line, and then going on for the left hand, this has to be soft, and then loud again. So this one thing is soft, the others is, everything else is louder there, and that's tricky. So, and then the right hand gets the melody again. And this is loud and accented. So, and then at the end of the second line, you get your bass clef back for the left hand. So the last three measures there, the second line is here. And then you're back to soft like you were at the beginning. Then on page 36, now we're soft at the top of the page, and then in the second line, we come up to a medium soft, with just a little louder than soft here. And then in the third line down, now you're loud. And then at the end, you're loud, staccato. So you work all that out really, really, really slow to make sure you got all the notes and the rhythms, and you can gradually speed it up. Now, when you can get all that, you can add the pedal, but let's be careful on the pedal because we don't want to smear this up. Mozart generally is a very clean style. So at the beginning, we're simply using the pedal to help connect everything. So I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes, and it stays down for the first two measures. And then I'm going to change it every half note. And it's lagging here. The notes come first and then the pedal. See the contrast between the smoothness at the beginning and this second line where the staccatos come in? We need that. We like contrast. And then back to the pedaling. And then staccato. And then at the bottom, I push the pedal down right after I play the notes in the second measure. And I lift it up right after I play the notes in the next measure. Same thing at the top of page 35. And now here we're going to use the pedal to reinforce the accent and to connect the chords. So I'm pushing the pedal down right after the chords, and I'm lifting it up as I play the next notes because those are staccato. I disagree with what they're trying to do here on page 35. Third line down, they're only pedaling the one measure. I think they got it backwards. I'd rather not pedal that measure and pedal the last measure to make it sound more like the beginning. Because we're pedaling it at the beginning, why not pedal it here? So in my opinion, if you're going to pedal it here, you'd pedal in the second measure, you'd pedal the first half note, and then as you play the second half note, you release the right hand, release the pedal too. So we get a silent, and then in the next measure, I would legato pedal that. Just like we had at the beginning. I think this should be the same pedaling here. And then the last line, your staccatos in the second measure. At the top of page 36, we're legato pedaling. Second line, just like they're telling you. See, in the third line down in the third measure, we don't pedal this because we need the rest in the left hand. It's different. They're not half notes. And then staccato at the end. If you want to pedal that last half note, you can pedal that because that opens up the harmonics and it makes it a little fuller sound. That's fine. Because it's loud, you can get away with it. Work all that out really, really slowly so you're comfortable with it. Then you gradually speed it up and eventually you put it back in cut time so we can feel this in two. It's light. You got to keep it light. you get the idea of how this sounds. The whole thing just kind of goes that way. But it's a fun piece. Now if you're going to play it for people, you got to be able to make this page turn. So how do you do it without messing up the beat? It's kind of hard because both hands are busy all the time. I mean, you don't have time to have one hand reach up and turn the page because there's not enough rests in the music to do this. And this is where, unfortunately, you almost have to leave out notes. Now, you don't want to leave out the melody notes, which means you have to leave out the harmony, the backup notes. So in the last measure of page 35 here, you might have to leave out, play the first note and then leave out the rest of it. And reach up while you're doing that so you can make the turn, page turn. Another thing you can try is memorize the first measure on page 36. Here, and go ahead and play all the notes at the bottom of 35. And go ahead and start 36 and play the first one in the left hand chord. And then reach up while you're playing the rest of the measure in page 36. You reach up with the left hand and turn the page there. You're still leaving out some notes. It's like, which notes do you want to leave out? Otherwise, you memorize something. You memorize page 36 or something because there's just not enough time to reach up and turn the page. Or get somebody to turn the page for you. Let's try this out really slowly just to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm going to do it in 4/4 time, and we're going to do pages 34 and 35, and then we're going to stop, turn the page, I'll count us in again, I'll give us another 4 quarter note counts, and then we'll do page 36. So go ahead and put your hands where they go, here, and the foot's on the pedal. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, rest, 2, rest, 2, rest, 2. Turn the page. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. Rest. 2, 3, and 4. 2. Rest. 3, 4. Rest. Rest.